afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the EMA's Knowledge Series 2021. This afternoon, we'll be having a conversation with one of our Greenleaf Special Awards recipients, Mrs. Patricia Turpin. Patricia Turpin has dedicated over 40 years of her life to environmental issues nationally. She and her family manage over 1,000 acres of estate in Charlottesville, Tobago, using integrated forestry principles. Over the years, Pat has fostered science tourism by facilitating and assisting visiting researchers to Tobago, providing them with access to the unique ecosystems of Northeast Tobago. This includes a long-standing relationship with the Smithsonian Institute in the USA, Cardiff University, and Wales and Glasgow University in Scotland. She also facilitated the University of the West Indies National Herbarium in their documentation of Tobago's ferns. In 1996, she became one of the founding directors of the NGO Environment Tobago, later leading as president for several terms. Under her leadership and guidance, Environment Tobago became the voice for Tobago's environment, participating in policy development, environmental consultation, and steering committees. Through Environment Tobago, Pat implemented several projects that were funded by international organizations such as the UNEP and PAHO. Pat's passionate representation of Trinidad and Tobago on an international stage and Tobago on a national level was seen in her participation in several national and international committees. Her indomitable environmental stance and vast knowledge of Tobago's biodiversity and ecosystems have allowed her to inject the Tobago perspective into discussions that might have otherwise overlooked the island. We'll now have our conversation with Pat.
Patricia Turpin, welcome to our program. Thank you for joining us.
Nice to be here.
This is an opportunity for us to understand a lot more about your journey in preserving, promoting, and ensuring that there is greater awareness in our society, I will say Tobago and Trinidad, since we are chatting with you as you are based in Tobago, and to understand more, as well as to benefit from your vast experience and perhaps learn some lessons that we as citizens of the country may not be always paying close attention to. What first attracted you to Tobago and to environmental consciousness and awareness?
What attracted me to Tobago? That is a personal issue.
Okay,
I
fine.
married a Tobagonian.
Very good.
He lived in Northeast Tobago. But my awareness of the environment started when I was a child living in South Trinidad Forest Reserve. My father was an oil field engineer, which is completely anathema to anything I believe in. So you can imagine my being a conservationist and he an oil engineer. I lived in an area that was surrounded by forests with red howler monkeys and all sorts of animals around us. And that was where I first grew an appreciation. That was as a child.
Yes.
Actually working within the environmental field only started when I came to Tobago, because I am trained in the medical profession, not as an environmentalist. So that was my beginning. I came to a place which was originally 1,800 acres owned by the Turpin family, and which had on its land 110 families that comprise Charlottesville. So the Turpins have always been conservationists, and they believe firmly in trees. Conserving the watershed was always important, so you cannot cut down a tree in Charlottesville without informing me.
Very good.
I know that sounds ridiculous, but my nickname is the Tree Lady.
Nice.
Even Tech will call me before they cut a tree, which I'm grateful for. So this is where it started, and I just continued the work of the family because the oldest environmental management plan was created on this estate in 1932, and it was updated by me in 2005. And we have maintained that policy throughout. Okay, it's very important that the people in the area understand their connections, the connections between the trees on the watershed, and
Yes.
they're getting water, and to conserve the wildlife that is within it. So it's been a heavy burden for many years. And then I joined Environment Tobago, which was a fledgling organization of interested persons in Tobago who were concerned with the environment, and they were an offshoot of the Field Naturalist Club of Tobago, of Trinidad. So, and I became the president, therefore, and was the president for about 14 years. It was a lot of hard work, educating people. That was our mission, was education,
Yes.
research, and forming connections with government agencies and other networks to help form policy that would positively impact the environment.
In the foundation years of Environment Tobago, was
Yeah,
there enthusiasm, interest, almost a yearning for learning more on the part of those in Tobago and those involved?
absolute. That is absolutely the truth. We were extremely energetic, needless to say, we were young, and we were willing to do anything to preserve the environment. And we were all volunteers, but times have changed, and we considered ourselves like a shepherd, you know, preserving the environment. But that attitude does not persist to today.
Is that a,
Volunteering is becoming a thing of the past. I do not know what else to do. So I am trying to work with the younger people. I am retired now, so I do it privately,
yes?
working with younger people and trying to get them to join organizations where they will feel that they are doing something to conserve this precious environment. I'm still an advisor to the COPE, which is the Council of Presidents of the Environment, which includes 12 organizations in Trinidad and 2 in Tobago.
Yes.
So I do work with them on government policies and EIAs and stuff like that. They call me, they consult with me, and I'm willing to help no matter what.
You hold vast knowledge of Tobago's biodiversity and ecosystems. Are
In
you
my head,
exactly? And that's where I was going. And the fact that it is with you now, would there be an opportunity for even these young persons to start shadowing your every step in order to chronicle and remove from what is in one's head to a place where it can be preserved for the benefit of all going forward? Would
I
you?
would be very happy to do that.
So
I
there
have
are.
spoken several times lately with friends that I would have to write a book or
Yes.
several books. I do get a lot of young people calling me and telling me they're doing their master's or whatever degree it is at the UE, and they would like to come and talk to me, and I do facilitate them, whether it's in Tobago or whether it's students from Tobago or students from Trinidad, I'm willing to talk to anybody.
What would you say has been one of your greatest contributions? I don't want to turn it into achievements and accomplishments more than contributions, where you really felt that by doing what you did, it made a difference for all, that there was fulfillment. Is there one that stays with
Uh,
you?
there are so many, but my job as a game warden, which I was for several years, was very fulfilling and very exciting at times, almost dangerous.
Yes,
But we did feel like we accomplished things.
yes,
What is lacking now is the fact that there's a very few game wardens in Tobago, and this interest in conserving needs to be rejuvenated. They need to appoint at least 50 more wardens in Tobago so that they are not spread out so thinly. At this time, there are only about 6 to 10 game wardens in Tobago, and that is impossible. So I would be very happy if they hire more of them. And at this moment, I'm working with an American scientist who is trying to introduce the SMART program for game wardens. It's a very interesting GPS project that will enable game wardens, no matter where they are, to
yes.
report in real time what's going on. And it is a program that we are pushing and hope that it will be introduced both in the THA and in the Ministry of Agriculture in Trinidad, so that they will have the possibility of preserving more, preventing the wildlife trade, because that is what this program does. It polices in real time, no matter where the warden is. He could see what is going on 20 miles away from him.
And within this
So,
program, have you also been able to identify, is there a species or a particular group of animals in Tobago that you're concerned
well,
about, that we should be paying much more attention to, either because they may become extinct, or we're not giving the due care that should be afforded to them?
well, turtles are always a problem. Oceanic turtles are a huge problem right now. Since the COVID lockdown, we have had serious poaching, and we're not allowed to go out onto the beach to protect. But the poachers don't care about that. They are there, and the police are locked away in their station. So who is policing? So turtles are always a big problem in Tobago. But in general, all our wildlife is our mammals, which we do not have a large amount, especially the wild hog, which we are trying to preserve. There are few left, and they're in the middle of the island on trails that lead right to Charlottesville. And we try to keep it quiet when we spot them and just let the forestry division know where they've been seen so that they can do their job of preserving them, because hunting is not stopping. There's no respect for the hunting seasons in this island. Whether closed or open, people are out there hunting all the time. So it is a very frustrating thing, but I would say that I really enjoyed my days as a warden. And when I was working with them and doing my research for UE on ferns, I saw parts of Tobago that nobody else has seen by traversing the forest with the game wardens. That was extremely fulfilling and exciting.
Can we
So I wish I could convey that to everybody.
Yes. Can we share a thought on ferns? I myself am curious to learn from you the understanding of ferns. Perhaps we take them for granted.
Yes, we do, and they are all types, from giant-sized ones to very tiny half-inch ones. We have hundreds of ferns. Um, I still have my samples, which I kept in a press. Those are the ones that we logged at UE. Yasmin Como at the herbarium has them all stored there.
Yes.
So they are beautiful ferns of all types. Something you don't even think is a fern turns out to be one. That's why researching it was so fascinating.
And by chance,
That,
are there any rare ferns or unique ferns relative to Tobago?
well, I like the little ferns out on Little Tobago, which it only has one type of fern,
Wow.
because of its very dry atmosphere. It's a very small fern, and it's a palmata, which it has fingers like the palm of a hand. Yasmin has a lot of stuff dealing with Tobago as well, and I'm always happy to work with her
Yes.
because there are times when I find trees and plants that I don't recognize and can't identify, and I ask her to do that. So we work together. Another area which I was very pleased was, as the president of Environment Tobago, we went international. We joined networks that allowed us to be in contact with governments all over the world. And this one group is called the GEF, or Global Environmental Facility Network of Civil Society People. And we joined that group, and we have been one of the representatives for the Caribbean, for the entire Caribbean, for the last 7 years, one more year to go. And we discuss at meetings twice a year where the money, environmental money funded by governments all over the world, where it is spent and on what projects it's spent. So I actually do see all the projects that the Ministry of Planning and Development submit to the GEF for funding, which I have been watching the projects for the last 5 years and have advised David Prasad at the ministry when they were putting together the PSIP for a large forestry project. Um, I advised him on the actual project proposal, and when it came to funding, I informed him that the DGEF was very insistent on gender equity and that civil society have to be included because they are the people who actually do the work on the ground. And if he does not include them in the proposal, he won't get funded. So he went back and adjusted the proposal, and it was a very beautiful project, which included the formation of 5 or 6 areas in Trinidad and Tobago that are now protected areas. And in Tobago, 2, one of which is a marine protected area. So that project, which lasted about 3 years, was a GEF project. And the GEF being the Global Environmental Facility, which is the funder.
Yes.
And they have accessed it, this government has accessed it every single year. And up until 15 years ago, they were not accessing that fund. But now they are accessing it as soon as they can. You know, I
These,
became aware of the fact that they were not accessing it at all,
yes,
and which was a waste of environmental funding that was just sitting there waiting for our government to use it.
yes. These types of projects where proposals are developed, grant funding is provided, do they have a short time span between funding and implementation? Or when we're talking about the environment, do we really need to work
No,
more with Mother Nature and time?
these projects are 3 to 4 year projects,
Right.
and they involve the communities, and that is what is important. The communities have to be involved in any environmental project. It's pointless coming into an area and doing a project with none of the community involved, because it will mean nothing to them. So this project involved all the communities, and they feel a sense of ownership, and that is the way it has to be. They have to feel that they own it. Okay, that
Uh,
is what the project involved. It involved teaching the communities how to write their own proposals, and gave them ideas of where they could do it and on what type of topics they could do proposals.
yes.
And it has been extremely successful. I have seen a lot of fledgling organizations starting up, and they're doing very interesting work. So I'm hopeful for the future.
When you compare Tobago, not just with Trinidad, but other islands of the Caribbean, for you, what is Tobago's beauty?
What is its beauty?
Yes.
It's its environment, its hills, its forests, its seas. Everything about Tobago is beautiful. Its people are friendly. I know that sometimes Trinidadians feel that we are not very friendly, but that is not quite true. I think it's how you approach one another. So, but the island, the very first time I came to Tobago, I knew I would never leave. It was instinctive. I said, this is where I will make my life, and I have.
If you had to do it all over again, would you do the same
I
thing?
would. I would. I've raised my children here, and they had a wonderful childhood, free, free roaming the forests and the rivers and the sea and the villages.
Yes.
Nothing can replace that. And I am a little worried about what will our children's future be if we don't have these involvements. It takes away. Living in a city is not what it's all about. So even at schools in cities, they must involve outdoor education. And by that I mean actively putting the person out in a forest or in a garden, planting, anything where the human being is outside as a child and a young adult, in the sea, snorkeling, looking at things. This is where the interest comes. If it does not happen, they won't even know what a coquelicot is or what a turtle is when in a couple of years from now. So education is vital, and education that involves outdoor activities is crucial. That's how I feel about it.
I'm going to ask a question about the the economy of the country juxtaposed
Currently,
with the environment of the country. And by that I mean there have been recent announcements of further natural gas exploration and activities to the northeast of Tobago. And from that, we've seen the fishing community express their concern, their desire for some level of recompense, but more so
But
to
why?
ensure that they
This
can
is
still
always,
fish.
Wendell, this has always been a question with me because I can't say that I totally side with the fishermen
Yes?
because I know where that is taking place. It's more than 90 miles offshore. I know exactly where the platforms are. I've been following it very carefully. It's BHP Billiton.
Yes?
Environment Tobago has been consulted by them continuously every time they are going to do any exploration out there. I cannot see how the fishermen are being impacted because the fishermen would have to be going very close to the coast of Grenada to be impacted. I don't know fishermen who go out that far. So why would they need to be recompensed? The only reason is if under these rigs they have what they put as lighting on these rigs that attracts what is known as a fad. In other words, all the fish are attracted to these rigs, and then the fishermen complain that the rigs are drawing the fish away from them. So, but I am yet to see the proof that that happens. But I believe that BHP Billiton will do some kind of recompense. I mean, I know they were working with the villagers of Castara and other in community-based projects. They help
Yes.
them in that way, but they're not
Yes.
going to pay them a salary. Right? They will go in the community and they will do projects in the community that help the communities. They have been very good. I must laud them. There's no other way of saying that they have been extremely conscious when the oil companies are not always conscious. I mean, and they have been. So I can't say that um, I agree with everything the fishermen are saying, but I know that BHP Billiton will help them in projects within their communities.
We've had visits to Tobago by royalty. We've had visits to Tobago by heads of state. We've had visits to
Yes, we
Tobago
have.
by celebrities. Many have come to Tobago. But when it comes to your encounter, what
I
did you
have
say was a big one?
I have met with Prince Philip, Prince Charles and his wife Camilla, and Prince Andrew. Prince Andrew actually came to Little Environment Tobago's office because he wanted to see what work we were doing. That was an extraordinary happening, and
Indeed.
we enjoyed that. We found them to be very down to earth. And when we met with Camilla and Prince Charles, we put on a very big display, not just Environment Tobago, but many other organizations in Tobago down at the Cocoa Reef Hotel. So he saw everything and he was extremely interested. And Prince Philip was hilarious. That's the only way I can describe him. People always say he makes gaffes, but I found him to be very funny and extremely interested in what people are doing, especially when it included forests. He and Prince Charles
Yes.
are advocates for forests.
I'm going to give you an opportunity now, just to reminisce in the light of the fact that for this year, the Environmental Management Authority bestowed on you a special award from its Green Leaf Awards ceremony. So therefore, you were one of four persons chosen to receive for the first time the Greenleaf Special Award. How did this make you feel?
I thought it was extraordinary. I did not expect that because working in the environment has never been a matter of do something and get a reward. That is not the way I operate. So, having received already the Hummingbird medal, I was quite surprised at the EMA, but I also felt that the other people who got the award really deserved people to know what they who have been doing all their lives. And there are many more
Yes.
who I wish had been able to receive an award as well. Um, I did not nominate myself, so imagine my surprise when I was asked to produce all kinds of documentation and photos. That took a lot of time. They're now close at hand.
Yes.
I did
So
have to do a lot of digging for them, but they are here and preserved. And the people who nominated me have them preserved as well.
very good.
I appreciate it greatly, and that beautiful painting that was given to me, I have it hanging in my living room.
Wonderful. And it brings together a catalyst of all that you've done for
Yeah.
Tobago, all that you've done for Trinidad by extension, and then more so, all that you've done for the environment. I'll give you the last word as we bring our conversation to an end.
Okay, well, let me try and round it out by saying that when you are trying to develop anything, please consider what is already there and work with it. Do not work against it. Okay? We need to preserve everything we have because it is our heritage. Okay? And if we destroy our forests and other and all our wildlife, it won't be there. We are the stewards. It doesn't belong to us. It has been given to us for our lifetime. And it is our duty under God's law, if you want to put it that way, to preserve his environment. And that's our duty. So I hope that people will grow up appreciating what a simple thing like a garden is. Take a walk in the forest, and when they are taking a swim in the sea, that they understand how precious that is. And we have it here. We have everything, and we need to conserve it for us, not only ourselves, but for future generations.
Thank you. And with that, Pat, thank you so very much for the time, the treasured memories, and more so the joy of having the privilege to chat with you. Thank you for your time, Pat Turpin.
Thank you so much, Wendell. And everybody else, thank you for listening.
We've been chatting with Patricia Turpin, environmentalist and recipient of the EMA's Greenleaf Special Award 2020. And this is the EMA's Knowledge Series. See you next time.